We can be live, that's fine. So, we'll sort of just hang around for a bit until... Oh, I'm talking to that bit. No, never mind. And I want to be on this, but no sound on here because I need the chat on a different computer. How weird. I'm now seeing a different shot here entirely. Okay. But this is fine. And let's share this. Can I share this? Oh, it's happening so slowly. I'm using an Amazon tablet here, which is appalling. Oh gosh, what's it doing? No, this will not share this. Oh dear. Don't expect too much from your Amazon Fire tablet. They are not great. In fact, this one's bloody awful. Hello everybody in the chat room. Hello, you are there. I see you there. I see you. Hello. How is it all looking? We're doing something different tonight, obviously. Because it's literally 30 degrees in my office. That's the situation. I cannot sit in front of that computer all night at all because it's just too hot. It's too hot in here, but I'm not going to complain. We just adapt and move on, that sort of thing. It's all good. It's all good. Now then. There we go. So can I chat in here? Like I say, I'm looking at the chat on a tablet here. Yeah, I can. Oh, and it pops up on the screen. Okay. And of course there I am signed in as normal me. But I wasn't going to talk anyway, so... Can I... Oh, I can do that. Okay. Maybe it would be better if I was logged in as me. I don't know if I have other privileges at that point. This thing's awful. It's so bad. You can't really do anything on it because it's so slow to respond to everything you do. Anyway, what would you like to talk about tonight? We've got a lot we can talk about because that's how this BPD NPD thing goes. There's always more to talk about, isn't there? And I'm trying to take a particular shift in direction, which doesn't necessarily affect these live streams as much, only in as much as there will be more of them, I guess. But that's a good thing, right? Isn't it? Well, I mean, it is from the point of view of the live streams. You're going to Thorpe Park tomorrow, and yet you're depressed today. What's with that? I mean, first of all, it depends what your position on Thorpe Park is. You know, it's hardly Disney World, is it? I'm sat on too many cushions. Bear with me. I mean, it's much better in an office chair than on a sofa. Is Thorpe Park any good? I've never been. It's basically Alton Towers, right? But in the south. That's what we're all brought up to believe. But one thing doesn't affect another, you know? I mean, it's perfect. Look, and you're just depressed. You haven't done the fun thing yet, right? I mean, surely the whole point, the excitement about going to Thorpe Park isn't as good as actually going to Thorpe Park. See, you're pretty excited. This is positive, isn't it? This feels like a good thing. Like Alton Towers, it's rides in a theme park, isn't it? You know. I've not been to Alton Towers for years. Not since before they cut that girl's leg off or something. They didn't cut a girl's leg off. That's not what they did. There was a ride that crashed. Some people were injured. It was all very sad. Did anyone die? I don't think anyone died, did they? Sorry, I didn't get a drink before we started. Alton Towers is a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun there over the years. I just haven't been for a while. And I think they've like, yeah, the Smiler incident. I think they've added a lot of new stuff since I was there last. So maybe it's time to go again. You know, I actually have a lot of like sentimental memories of Alton Towers. And it's, I don't know, I still feel like even now, would it be sad to go back? I don't know. I have a weird sentimentality thing with things and places and old relationships and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's unnecessary. I mean, what am I to just never like go to Alton Towers again? You know? Oh, right, but so you live, hang on, you're from the UK, you grew up in the UK, you live in Australia now. But you're going to Thorpe Park. So are you here visiting? Are you visiting family or something like that? Are you currently on vacation? And going to Thorpe Park, I'm still a bit miffed that we don't have any other theme parks. We're not good on theme parks in the UK, and we don't have anything to theme them around. And when they turn out to be a bit shit and closed down. Like, so Alton Towers is still up and running and Thorpe Park is still up and running, and they're theme parks, I think, in the really loosest sense. Because there's what's the theme of Alton Towers? What is it? You know, compared to say something like Epcot Centre, which is a theme park. Oh, I couldn't listen to Metallica for years because a girl I used to be friends with had a falling out with me over not buying her a ticket. The concert got cancelled anyway, so it was a waste of a ruined friendship. These silly things that happen in life. I'm sure there have been like 1,000 examples in my own life of times when I've either fallen out with someone else or they've fallen out with me over nothing, really. And it was like a waste of a falling out. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. But what's the theme of Alton Towers? There's no theme. It's not a theme park. Disney World is a theme park. It's several theme parks. But that's the difference to me. That's what the massive difference is. Gosh, I've fallen out with so many people over the years over nothing. It feels so ridiculous now. It really does. And it only leads to bad things. It's unnecessary and it only leads to bad things. And it's just sad. And ultimately we lose out. Hang on. Another moderator just handled this? What the hell is going on here? It's being very odd. Hang on. Sorry, there's a chat issue here. Yeah, show the thing. I still miss her, but hold a lot of resentment towards her in the moving on process now. Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, I do. I know that feeling. Sadly enough. Am I too high? I'm still working on my camera angles for this setup. Let's bring it down a little. Just a tiny bit. There we go. I'm still in that same place myself. And I think it's because there's a lot of unresolved stuff, right? When a relationship ends, everything is left unresolved. It's just up in the air, you know. Because why resolve stuff? If you could resolve stuff, you'd still be together, right? That makes sense, right? If you could sort out your problems, why did you break up? You can't uh, work out your problems. There are certain things that you can't get someone to say sorry for and it mean anything. And so you end up at the end of a relationship with lots of unresolved crap just floating around in the air, and you have to just let it go because it doesn't matter anymore. That's where I landed with it. It's easier said than done. And just saying, oh, just let it go. That's not. It's easier said than done, isn't it? But sorry, I'm moderating here at the same time, and it's being weird. It's not working properly. I'll try and put this down. And so yeah, you have to let this unresolved crap go, otherwise it will drive you nuts. I think. I certainly. Or just watch High Fidelity and cry into a bucket of ice cream. God, High Fidelity. I haven't seen that for years. And there's the guy that everybody thinks is me for a second, but it's not me, because I'm not in High Fidelity. And right, High Fidelity was a movie that we did on Movies You Should See back in the day on the podcast, and it was one that sometimes we would prepare ahead of time. We'd know what movies we were watching. We'd watch them before the day we recorded the podcast. Other days we would watch the movie as a group on the day that we recorded. And High Fidelity was one of those that we watched all together as a group. And as we're watching it, there is a scene. It's in the record shop. John Cusack puts on the song and he says, I'm now going to sell 3 copies of this song. Is it something by the Beta Band or something like that? And the camera pans across the shop and you see the customers start to listen to this song that he's playing in the shop. And as we're watching this, my friend Craig goes, right, we're going to pan past Rich for a second. I'm like, what are you talking about? And this guy that comes into shot, and even for a second I was like, holy shit, it's me. Dry the Rain. There you go. It's like, holy shit, that's me. And it's just for a fraction of a second. It's just like you see the back of this guy's head. This guy and I are back of the head twins, right? And as soon as you see this guy's face, it's all over because he looks nothing like me. But you see him from just like from here, and you're like, holy shit, that's me. Craig Bevan, you remember that guy? Mind you, bye-bye, where are you from? What? Are you from the old days? Did I know this? Have you said this at some point? Also, we get caught up between usernames, so I don't always know who somebody is on a platform compared to something else. If that, you know what I'm saying. Hello, Nanya in the US. You used to listen to Simply Syndicated. My God, you poor thing. Oh yeah, of course. I feel like we've had this conversation before. I remember so little about life, honestly. It's terrible. I feel bad when I don't remember something I feel I've been told. So I apologize. But you used to listen to Simply Syndicated. Oh, you sent fan letters to for those about to rock. For Tata, I have to try and remember all the abbreviations of show titles. It's so hard to forget. It's so hard to remember them now. When I ended up looking at my folder of old podcasts a couple of weeks ago, and it's just this bank of like folders with letters as names, and I don't know what's in any of them. I know Movies You Should See and Make It So. That's you know, but the others, you're just like, what was that show? What words are that? There were so many shows. There were so many shows. It got crazy. And God, is this even working? Oh, no. All right, that's why. Sorry, my preview looked awful, and I had to check that everything was all right. But it's because it's set to just display YouTube at 144p. And should hopefully improve. You're seeing me all right, right? This is coming through good quality? Because it isn't on my tablet, but I'm more inclined to believe that that's because of my tablet. Oh, no, it's in a... This thing is fucking awful. You look how long it takes it to do stuff. There we go. And I can't swipe down on that. It's good quality. Yes, on YouTube. Okay. Hi, Nanya, then. How are you doing there? How was everybody's weekend? How's everybody's Monday? Do you all come home miserable from work on a Monday? I don't know. It's that shit day back. Dr. F.A., Dr. Farr? Hello. I'm good. Do you know, I needed a week off. I think I needed a week off. And I'll be honest, I spent the week off sat here. Exactly, if I just left this camera set up, it would have recorded what we're doing now. I spent it sat here, but I was just playing Zelda. And I must have put in another 80 hours this week on that game. Which was fun and worth it, to be perfectly honest, and I would do it all again. I'm gonna do it all again, and that's all that matters, because it's just an absolutely awesome game, and I'm caught up in it, and it's kind of all my brain power is going towards it right now. That's where it's been, but I'm trying to sort of eat myself off it and back into real life. When are we going to get Make It So covers Pigs in Space? That's a very old reference that I don't remember, is what that is. Hi DC, how you doing? And Ray, good evening. It's good to see you. Pigs in Space. There's a moth on my television. Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. I remember Pigs in Space. I remember that. Oh God, Make It So. I have forgotten most of Make It So. If I'm honest, I have forgotten most of it. I remember it's weird, I sort of remember the really early ones. Like the why is there no swearing in Star Trek, etc. When we were trying to be somewhat clever or highbrow about it. That did not last very long, and I don't remember anything after like episode 8. It's such a weird one. Yeah, I don't know why I don't remember. The Blanket series is awesome. You talk about some real stuff nobody, not even psychologists, talk about, especially Blanket of Defeat. Thank you, Dr. Farr. I want to do a book about the blankets. And I've got as far as like planning some of it. This is the downside to, you know, my brain and the way it functions. It starts many things and finishes very few, and then it has these grand illusions. This daydream. What is it? Oh, I was talking about this with Dr. Ruth on Twitter briefly. Oh, something daydreaming, malfunctioning daydreaming, something like that. Where I just think of things I want to do and never do them, and think about the end point but not how to do them. I never dream about doing stuff, I dream about having done it. Malfunctioning? No. Misaligned? Something weird. It was definitely an M word. Maladaptive daydreaming. Thank you. Thank you. That is brilliant. Yeah. And so we put the blanket book on that. It's one of the... Because in my head, I've written a book. Right? That's how it goes. And I sort of forget that I haven't. Which I think sounds ridiculous. I really do. And it's like daydreaming to a point of self-delusion, right? And it avoids you dealing with actual stuff. Do I have any goals? My goal, my driving force is to make enough money from doing this. That's it. That's my goal. My actual realistic goal is to make enough money from doing early morning barking stuff. So hey everybody, hit the super like button and the super chat button and that sort of thing. Do you know what I need? I need like so many chat messages going up that people hit the super chat just to be seen. So everybody just type loads, please. That's the best way to do it. But yeah, that's my goal. That is what I want to do when I get up in the morning, is, you know, just make a living from doing this. That's all I've always wanted to do. I've never sorted my life out in the most basic senses, and that is my goal. And it's as I deal with various mental health issues, you know, that becomes a much more doable thing. But it's just fucking shameful at this point. Like, I feel like I'm, you know, talk about failure to launch in life. I'm 44 years old and I'm still on the launch pad. And it's really distressing to think about. And that's, you know, when I talk about the maladaptive daydreaming, that's what it's getting me over. That's what it's dealing with. But it then keeps me in the rut that I'm in, because you sort of self-delude and don't deal with the problems. And indeed, you know, like mentioning Simply Syndicated earlier, that was the problem there. That you could tell yourself that you've got this amazing monolith of podcasting in media. And in actual fact, 7 people know it exists. And you will never get that recognition you think you deserve or whatever. But you don't do anything about that. And so it's really painful and really frustrating. And it makes me angry if I think about it too much, to be perfectly honest. Thank you very much, Ray. Well, what is the discussion? What would you like to talk about? You've given me some suggestions, which is always good. NPD, fantasies, addictions, friends, goals, relationships. This is all good. All good stuff, really, Ray. I mean, that's all fine. I'll pick one. Let's do addictions. Let's do addictions, because I have something I feel guilty about, right? I was doing the giving up weed thing. As you know, I was trying that. And I lasted 2 days. Just noticed my cuddly blanket is falling off. I lasted 2 days, right? And I've, you know, lasted nothing else since then. And I kind of feel like really bad still, because I made some videos about it on TikTok. I talked more about it on TikTok than I did here on YouTube. So if you don't follow me on there, you wouldn't know. But the way TikTok works, when it's just serving me up to random new people, and it doesn't know that I didn't make it. So it's still serving up these like, hey, I'm going to give up weed videos. Aren't I good and clever, and aren't I going to do well videos? And I'm still getting like encouraging comments of go for it. It's so hard. I tried for ages, all of that sort of thing. And I feel really bad about it because I'm like, you're not getting the video. Or I went, yeah, it lasted 2 days. But ultimately, I'm not beating myself up over it because I did it. I picked an awful time to do it. I picked a truly awful time to do it. And I'm not going to beat myself up over that. Little side note, since doing it, I've actually been smoking significantly less. So while I have continued, I'm doing it less because I sort of, I got myself set up with vaping stuff, and I've been back in that, and it's replaced some smoking, not entirely, but it's replaced more. So there was some benefit to doing it so far. And soon I will have another attempt to make more TikToks and people can write encouraging comments again, I guess. The porn is another one where I have like, I don't know if I should take a video down. I hate the idea of taking videos down because every video I've made, at the time I made it, I believed to be good and correct and proper and all of that positive stuff. And then you go back to my original porn addiction video, because there have been 2 where I've talked about it. And on my original one, it's all wrong, right? My opinion has changed on pretty much 100% of that video. And that is mentioned in the second one. But not everybody sees both. And the first one doesn't indicate that there's a second one because I didn't know I was going to make it because I thought I was right about what I was saying when I made it. So now I'm left with this, like, do I leave it up knowing that there is a video that comes later that says everything in this first video is wrong? Or do I just take it down like it never happened? And that feels uncomfortable. So I'm not taking the old one down. It's staying up there, but it's all wrong. The good one is the later one, I think. I need glasses. I have glasses, it's fine. My bag is down here. By the way, my bag is getting so heavy, and I don't know what I can get rid of it from it. And it's so heavy now. Never mind. I didn't used to have to carry so many things. Speaking of how things look, I always think this shirt makes me look like I'm a dentist. Am I wrong with that? It's like I feel like I'm about to just give you a root canal. I'd be buttoned up to the top. If you do it up to the top, this is a dentist outfit, really. I could wear this as a dentist outfit with a mask and you would totally buy that. I can't get the button undone now. Yeah, I would totally... This is my dentist shirt. Hey, Sweet Tooth Sour, good to see you. We're on to the porn addiction and hypersexuality. Yeah, the porn addiction, it's the hypersexuality, sorry, we just mentioned the porn addiction. Does porn really matter? Is it harming anyone? Well, potentially. Right, I'm not, this is not, hi Isabel, this is not a morality of pornography discussion. Right, that's a different channel. Whatever. When I sort of talk about does porn harm anybody. I'm talking about the user in this context, right? The bigger debate on porn rages on, and I am not taking part in it right now. Okay? Yeah, I do. I absolutely think it's harmful. Yeah, totally, without a question. Absolutely, I think it's harmful, and I think it causes you to ignore problems. This is there's your theme running tonight, is this ignoring of problems, and that's what the porn is doing. It's a coping mechanism. So you're coping with something. So yeah, it's unhealthy, in as much as you are not dealing with something, right? It's safe to say, look, and also don't get the impression that this is what I'll refer to as happy porn use, right? It feels almost compulsive, and it is unwanted and upsetting, right? It's not a sort of, you're not there for the sexual thrill of it. So no, it's not a fun thing. It's not just like watching lots of porn and enjoying it. You're zoning out. You're avoiding something. You're using it to deal with a problem. So that problem is there. So you have to deal with that problem. So yeah, I think just using porn is harmful in that way. Because we're not talking about recreational porn use. We're not talking about enjoying it for the reasons that it was made. We're talking about using it to distract from pain, which is not the point of porn anyway. You know. Is it too thin, this shirt? Or is it just the lighting in here? The lighting is a warm light. Yeah, and like you're saying, Dr. Farr, yeah, it desensitizes you, so you postpone dealing with your problems. And do you know, and I don't know if there's any form of research on this, or if what there is agrees or disagrees with what I'm about to say. But I do think it does desensitize you to sort of regular sexuality. I still think that's an element. I understand that we're saying that you're not addicted to the porn, there's no porn addiction. I understand that we're saying that there's evidence to support that people who have high porn use have better sex lives. That it doesn't even cause directly erectile dysfunction and that sort of thing. But I still feel that it very much removes you from normal sexuality and normal healthy behavior, even if you are just using it as a coping mechanism. And I think that there is some sort of recovery time that comes as a result of doing that to yourself. What if it's porn starring me? Well, the world's not ready for that. In the US, your shirt would make you look wealthy. Really? I don't know. Surely I don't even know what quality of shirt this is. It won't be overly. Can you see? It's probably a Marks and Spencer shirt, this. This doesn't look like, right? This looks like the kind of thing my dad would buy me. Anyway, there's a story there that I'm not going to, anyway. Dr. Rich. Do you know there was one brief term during my A-levels that was suggested? Just the one, just till I took some exams. And no, it wasn't actually. It was until I took my second lot of exams where they were like, your first set of exams went so well, if you keep this up, you could go to medical school. And then the second exams came up and they were like, yeah, you didn't keep it up. And now we're here. Ultimately, I think that's probably for the better, because I'm like already so narcissist. Did I need surgery skills? You know? Hi Zoran. Yeah, moderation is the key. Yeah, and ultimately with the porn, I'm not sat here saying porn is bad, you mustn't ever use porn, don't look at it, whatever. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not passing opinion on the existence and use of pornography. Obviously, I have feelings along those topics, but I'm not. That's not what we're here to talk about. And so it's, I think, yeah, it's in moderation, and gosh, it's such a wide topic with so many elements to it that I think a lot of it is still up for grabs as to what's going on. I think there's a lot more work needs to be done and a lot more looked into. I can understand a lot of where people are coming from. And I think ultimately there's some really unhealthy approaches to getting over it. You know, that's a big thing. And I think that is I think some of the approaches to getting over porn addiction are causing far more harm than just staying in it, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, I'm seeing cases of people getting upset to the point of suicide and things like that. That's all very bad, right? That's a lot worse than just watching a lot of porn. So it's a big topic that there needs to be a lot more discussion around and openness about. I think it's a very difficult topic for people. And I think it causes a lot of upset to a lot of people in some ways as well. You know, so what I do is I pick up the thing and then I get sidetracked because I'm looking at the thing. Every word comes out this man's mouth is nothing but truth. Amen, brother. Preach it. Are the blankets of met or defeat or sadness or a kind of self-destructive behavior? To a certain extent. I think more so some than the others, right? Because there's some different ones there, right? Defeat, certainly. Right? Defeat is that beaten down, cannot get up again, I'm just going to stay on the ground thing. And it's that's a choice. That's a choice. And sometimes it's a hard choice, but it's a choice to stay on the ground once you've fallen down. And it can get increasingly harder to pick yourself up, but it's a choice. The meh and the sadness feel a lot more like things that happen to us, more so the meh. It feels, you know, because the sadness can come out of something, whereas the meh can come from nowhere, and is about nothing, is just numbness, is whatever, you know, it's meh, right? Whereas sadness, you know, we've got something we can feel sad about. We'll find something, it might be real, it might not be a real thing, but there's lots to feel sad about. You know, I can sit and get upset about the death of people who aren't dead, the loss of pets who haven't been lost, you know, the terminal diagnosis that isn't being tested for. All of these things, I can sit and get upset about those things if I choose to, or if I allow myself to. And, you know, but the defeat ends up being much more of a self-destructive behavior. I don't think you're not choosing to be self-destructive as such. I don't think we ever choose to be self-destructive. You don't think to yourself, I'm going to be self-destructive now and get on with it, right? That's nuts. But you do make a choice to do the thing that it is ultimately self-destructive. So if ultimately it is self-destructive for you to just sit on your ass and not try anymore, and you made the decision to sit on your ass and not try anymore, it's a fine line, I know. You know, and it's easy to get wrapped up in them. Hence blankets. I'm a fucking genius. That's just all there is to it, you know. I just remind myself about, like, Bob in What About Bob when he writes the Baby Steps book at the end. There's like, he's genius. Like, he's not. He's a moron. He's just a crazy person. Well, there's some openness, Grey Lizard. Hello and welcome to the live stream. It would take me forever to get off without porn, and I have stuff to do. I understand. Although that said, God, are we going here? The idea is, right, and this is where I landed on some of the healthier behaviors to take on when trying to get over it, right? And the idea is that if you aren't aroused and horny and all of that, if you need that porn to hit, to get off, then do you really need to get off in the first place? Or is it that you're bored or something else? And again, do you know what? If you're bored and alone, that's your business, man, you know, and I get it. But there are times when you know, especially when you're trying to come out of a porn addiction, or that being in that state, I guess would be more accurate to say, then it's time to, like, fill your free time with something else and get a better hobby. But that's not me talking to you about your habits. It's just like, you know, that if you need to, you'll be able to. And I think because you get into habits with it, right? It becomes routine, it becomes normalized in your life. You know, but even, you know, as Babai pointing out, the nofap incels community, that sort of thing, it's not healthy. I don't see it as healthy behavior because it's not normal behavior, right? Humans do that. It's right, masturbation is something humans do. It's not evil, it's not bad, it's not morally wrong or corrupt or whatever. It's something humans do because we're primates and it feels good, right? And fucking monkeys do it too, and probably other, right? It's a normal part of being a living thing on Earth, right? And this idea that to be healthier, you have to just stop and not do it. No, that's not normal behavior. That's as weird and bad as doing it all the time. There's a middle point, which is normal, healthy behavior. And that's where you should be striving for. And that's why I don't agree with the nofap stuff. And it's coming out now. I noticed it when I was looking for that sort of any way out, any solution, because it's difficult to find stuff on it. And like, even with the nofap stuff, at least they're there, right? That's how do they get people to give them their attention? They're talking about it, right? They've raised this as an issue, and they are trying to do something about it. What they're trying to do is probably wrong, and I don't agree with it, but they're trying to do something. There's no one else talking about this shit. There's no one else saying anything about it, and the healthy stuff, the right stuff, is not being pushed to the front. It's not there. So of course people are turning up and discovering the stuff that is there. Bear with me while I just catch up on the thing. You guys are chatting up great tonight, by the way. Thank you everybody for turning up. There's going to be so many more of these lives. So make sure you've got alerts and everything turned on. I'm gonna do a lot more lives because I prefer this, and I'd rather like sit and talk to you guys and have this back and forth and that sort of thing, you know. Anyway, let me go in here. Can you please explain more how blanket defeat is a choice? I mean, I feel nothing changes if I try, so why bother even trying and wasting your energy? Well, because what you feel isn't true. And that's, I know saying such a thing is maybe a sin in 2023. I can maybe be burned at the stake for that. But what you feel is bullshit in that situation, and you need to deal with that and get over it. I know you're not going to go off at me, don't worry, that's not what I'm saying. But what you feel is wrong. So you can either try and make the world fit with your delusion, or you can get over your fucking delusion. That's it. So when you think, I'm trying and trying and trying and not getting anywhere and I keep failing, you know, nothing changes if I try, so why even bother? Right, because nothing's changing. And if what you've tried doesn't work, you try something different. And if that doesn't work, you try something different. And if that doesn't work, guess what? You fucking do, right? And you do that until you find the thing that works. And only you get to say when you're going to stop doing that, right? And the truth is, it's such a cliche, right? Here's a video idea. Cliches, things we mustn't say because it's such a fucking cliche. Because we know that when we say these things, they are the words of somebody with mental illness. And the sentence, nothing changes if I try, so why bother even trying and wasting your energy? That sentence is on the fucking list, almost word for word. Sorry, I feel like I'm shouting at you and telling you off, and I'm sorry, and this is not what I'm doing. But that's on the list of things you're not allowed to say as a person working through mental health problems, right? There are others, a lot of them pertain to narcissism. They're things like, look what you made me do, right? And nothing changes if I try, so why bother? Is kind of the BPD, look what you made me do. You know, it's up there with, I don't deserve love. I don't deserve friends. These are all on the cliche list. We're not allowed to say these things, right? Because we know, really, they're not true. Because these are like the classic things that people with BPD and NPD say. So when we say them, we can go, look, this thing's on the list. This is just my BPD acting up. This thing, I know we say this, look. And so we're not allowed to say it. It's not allowed to be said. We have to keep off the cliches because they're cliches for a reason. Is the thing. Where am I then? Okay. Oh, we're still on masturbation in the chat room. Okay. Now, what was my Zoran is asking, what was my unrealistic dream before life got in the way? My unrealistic dream. Have you ever seen the James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies? The one where Jonathan Pryce is the bad guy. That. Really. That was my goal. I didn't want to start a war in the South China Sea like Jonathan Pryce does in that movie. But that was it. I wanted the ability to start a war in the South China Sea through control of the media, and that was my goal. My office was going to be in a volcano. But that was it. Yeah. So what was my unreal goal? The plot of Tomorrow Never Dies. Basically, that was it, and that is honestly the truth. That was where that went, and that was what got me into media in the first place. Or one thing that got me into media in the first place. Definitely the thing that got me into podcasting. And definitely the thing that kept me podcasting. You know, what do I do for work now? This is it. You're looking at it. I do early morning barking, for better or worse. I do as much as I'm capable of doing, which is not much. For various reasons that we do go into after video. But yeah. DC, I ran away from home once because my mother found a Playboy I had. I think I was 13 or 14 at the time, and I slept in A&E that night. For the young people, porn used to be on paper, and you had to like literally physically possess it. And like any object you possess that you weren't supposed to possess, you then had to hide it. Or you just had none at all. Or you sort of hit this middle range thing, which is like FHM magazine and stuff like that. Have you ever lowered your standards and been with someone just because you were too horny? Seriously? Seriously? So much. So many times. And, you know, is it really a lowering of standards to a certain extent? I don't know. I think it's just like a greater flexing of where your standards lie. It's a widening of standards. It's not a lowering, it's a widening. That's how I look at it. But have I ever... Look, and not just because I was horny, like just because the opportunity came up. I am notoriously easy. All right? Especially when I was younger. You know, and it's a weird one. I could talk all day about my juvenile and... no, juvenile's the right word. Issues around sex and sexuality. It's an issue. It's a problem. And it's, I think, an NPD thing and a trauma thing. And I think it sort of, right, it comes out of this, you know, we talked once about NPD comes from a traumatic event in late adolescence. Or what is it? Trauma. It seems a bit weird to put it in that way, in like one day this happened and then I had NPD forever. That's not quite it, but you get what I'm saying. There's trauma there. And trauma has a tendency when experienced to sort of freeze you in the age that you were when that happened. You get a lot of very childish attitudes that go with it. And I'm there. And I sort of have to, work to grow up. Not grow up. No, sorry, I've painted the wrong picture there. It's a question of different priorities and different things that you place different levels of importance on. And it's something I work on. How's things going on the relationship front? Good, thank you. We're all fine here. We're all good there, I believe. I hate saying it live on video because that's like, I then wait for my phone to go off and go, Rich, we're breaking up. Like, why? You said something. I don't know. You tempted fate. No, I'm not that insecure. But no, everything's cool. Everything's good. Thank you. Sweet tooth sour. Some medications will suppress the horniness. This is true. I'm not a fan of those medications. But yeah, like dabbling with people I didn't really like. Yeah. So that's it. And so, yeah, I mean, how did I get into that? Was on the juvenile side of it. And so part of that is the whole, like, being really, like, not having that maturity and self-control to say no. And that sort of thing. Also, it's like to a starving person, they'll eat a lot. It's one of those things. That is another thing. And so, I don't know. There's nothing I feel bad about like that in my past, though. There's no like, oh, I regret that so much. The only things I think from my life that I sort of regret along those lines are times when I've done something that I morally wouldn't do now. That kind of thing. Those sorts of things I sort of regret and feel bad about, those decisions and those things. That makes me sound like I've done some really nasty, grim shit, doesn't it? I have not. I'm talking about stuff like cheating and stuff like that. I've never done anything really awful. I've never done anything really awful. I feel like I'm saying it too much now. Let somebody say something else. Right. Have you ever hid a split, like when splitting, you hide it on your face and don't react externally? Yes, a lot. A lot. And I think I do it most when I don't want... Well, you obviously always do it when you don't want someone to know that you're splitting. But I actually see it as a successful coping technique because splits still happen for me. And when I can hide them, that's a successful thing. I mean, ideally they'd not happen, right? And they do happen less, and they happen less intensely to me now, and that sort of thing. But like I say, they do happen. But I also know that they happen and don't want to do anything about them. And so I hide them. Because why would I not? And it makes for a much more peaceful life and a much less destructive life and all of that sort of thing, as you can imagine. So yeah, I hide splits a lot. Well, when they happen. If I, okay, I forgot, I keep putting asterisks after this sentence. I hide splits, put it that way. I do more splits than a gymnast. DC, that's going on a t-shirt. Have I ever heard of reparenting, healing the inner child? I have. I've heard of it. I could probably do with watching some Dr. Ruth videos about it, to be perfectly honest. Do we need to ask permission to screenshot YouTube conversations on public website? I don't think we need to do that. But yeah, the inner child thing, I should look at it. I think that would help me. By the way, everybody go and look at Dr. Ruth, her channel, Dr. Ruth Ann Harper. She's brilliant, and she's been on my channel a few times. And will be back, I hope. So I will go and look. I don't know anything enough about it to give you any form of opinion or anything like that. I need to look at that. That's something for me to look at. Somebody write that down and remind me to do it. Tweet at me in a couple of days. No, that's fine, sweet Sarah. Don't worry. I'm oversensitive to these things. Sometimes I find the world too nice a place. But there's a problem. Watching Sam Vaknin almost made me unalive, kill myself. Right, we can I also put a ban on saying unalive? We can say kill, die, suicide. Let's use words. Definitely. That's a TikTok thing, and it's not even necessary on there. Yeah, but sorry, I've just caught the sleeping with a but Bob's comment. I mean, the main person I'm thinking of told me they liked virgins, so maybe they had their own issues. And it sounds like your friend is insecure in his abilities. Virgin has nothing to compare to. This is true. Sleeping with a virgin is why does anyone you don't want that. You want to sleep with someone with a lot of experience and a really dirty mind. Trust me on that one. But you don't want a virgin. Yeah, this unaliving thing, I think my impression is that it comes from people on TikTok believing that if you don't use that word, then they will bury your video. And I don't know if that was ever true, but I think it's just like an urban myth thing. I've stopped it. And we just use the word. You can use the words. And also, this is YouTube, so it's not as insane. Hi, Amelia. How are you doing? Oh no, don't worry. They won't. Right, Ray, anything that comes up in the chat that is deemed as inappropriate, I get to moderate, which is what I'm doing with this. So if there's anything, it's me that moderates. It's not YouTube, and they aren't gonna take my video down or anything like that. Right, if there are any video platforms, be it TikTok or YouTube or anywhere else you can post video, where people post video, if they're burying content because it talks about dealing with suicide or things like that with regards to mental health, then they are morally irresponsible. This stuff needs to be talked about. This stuff needs to be mentioned and not hidden and not spoken about in hushed tones like it's fucking Voldemort, right? And I will not play along with it. I will absolutely not play along with it. This is mental health content, and people with mental health problems fucking kill themselves. And I'm not gonna pretend that's not not the case, or use fucking stupid TikTok words or bullshit like that. I'm just not doing it, and that's what we're here for, quite frankly. And you know, we've already talked about porn, and if they're gonna bury my videos for anything, that's gonna be it. Because I didn't even tell you to stop the porn. I will tell you not to kill yourself. So there you go. Do I like to party, or is porn my only vice? Porn isn't a vice. And define party. But probably, yeah. I don't party enough, to be perfectly honest, by any definition of party. Also, I'm quite old now. Where don't we have freedom of speech? I don't know where we don't have freedom of speech. You see, right, while you're talking about comments that you're afraid to make, it didn't say, right, YouTube has just flagged up your latest comment that didn't mention killing yourself at all, right? It flagged it up, and I clicked show, so it showed up because it had a swear in it. And that's how that goes. There's no auto moderation or blocking or anything like that. DC says, I think gambling addiction is a huge contributing factor to suicide where I live. Where do you live that specifically gambling addiction is a thing? I'm gonna guess somewhere like Vegas, if not Vegas, somewhere with legal gambling, clearly. Belfast, very not like Vegas. Actually, pretty much the opposite of Vegas. But somewhere where one can gamble legally still. I guess where you live, and I said Vegas, and you said Belfast. Sorry. I don't know. Well, I suppose, look, it's one of those things, like any addiction, you know, and people get into all sorts of problems with gambling. Luckily, one I've never... Actually, I tell a lie. I did used to have a bit of a problem with the gambling machines in pubs. That used to be a thing, that I would turn up at the pub and just go straight to the machine and stand there putting pound coin after pound coin into it. And that lasted a couple of years, but was very much a product of the environment that I was in. I don't know that I'd say, was it a problem? I think I definitely displayed some sort of problematic behaviors with it, but it was nothing like a gambling addiction or anything like that. But I could definitely see how, if left, it could have gone somewhere. But I seem to remember basically it was a case of I went back to uni. Because this would have been when I was sort of between the ages of sort of 18 and 21. And then ended up at a uni where we were out in the sticks. There were no pubs, let alone gambling machines. And it just suddenly overnight ceased to be a factor in my life. And I was surrounded by people who also were not in the least bit interested in that sort of thing. And so it just kind of went away, and I forgot about it, and now I hate them. What bands do you like? Well, I'm a 90s teenager, so we have a lot of British Britpop bands in there. British indie bands. But also, you know, some American stuff too. I do like Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers, that sort of thing. Yeah. You can see my bass just sticking out over the top. That's what this is. Can a narc cry and or beg for an ex to forgive them and take them back, or is that more of a BPD thing, or could it be both? It could be both. It could be both. But both are not good in a breakup, right? That's the thing. Both are not good in a breakup. You know, and like crying and begging. Yeah, look, absolutely. And from a BPD, it's just a question of what you're talking about, the crying and the begging. That's an end point, right? The BPD and NPD bit changes the motivation, but we get to the same end point. And crying and begging. Now, you might get that from a BPD kind of, there's your fear of abandonment. Someone's going to leave. Crying, begging, please don't go. All of this sort of thing. Very obvious, right there. And then from a narcissistic point of view, while they are very definitely capable of having that, please don't go, I genuinely don't want you to go, and the pain of crying, all of that, right? It's entirely possible that you could also be performative. Like, I feel that if I cry and beg, then that will achieve the goal that I want in a much more calculated kind of way. But yeah, it can be a very genuine feeling too. Look, crying and begging and not wanting someone to go, not wanting someone you'd love to leave you. That is a very raw and real emotion, regardless of which personality disorder you're sat there with. And you know, it's one I can feel that now, right inside. That is in my chest now. That please don't go, please don't leave me, please. You said you loved me. All of that, it's right there. It's a very raw pain, and I think that you know, yeah, we're absolutely capable of that, and it's both. Do I ever find myself ever questioning everything I do? Yeah. Verve or Oasis or both? That's not even a question. You cannot ask the question, do you like the Verve or Oasis? Because that's like asking, like, do you like being sat on fire or sitting on a comfy cushion? Like, well, how are you even comparing the two things? Like, you've got Oasis, one of the greatest bands ever of all time, and the Verve, who did one album which was shit and had 3 songs on it, and then 7 songs that were all basically one of those 3 from before, and then went away. The two are just not comparable, right? That's not it. And as much as I would say, like, you don't have to be a beautiful person to front a band, Richard Ashcroft took that too far, right? That was too far. Like, you're allowed to not be like majorly attractive, but oh no, mate. God, the Verve or Oasis. The two, you just can't. No. Zaran, how old are you, by the way? I'm curious. By the way, if anybody wants to hit the super chat button, that would be very much appreciated. Have you seen my Living with BPD course? I will get part 3 out this week. There's my goal. Part 3 is out this week. Dealing with your favourite person. I'm not promising that it will also involve romantic obsession, because I feel like that might be a part 4 rather than part of part 3. But you signed up to Patreon as well. There's a new ASMR video on Patreon as well. I mean, the verve, man. I mean, there was, Bittersweet Symphony, The Drugs Don't Work, maybe Lucky Man, but they're all basically the same song, and then we're done. That's it. That was the verve. My God, they were big for about 6 months. Something like that. 36. I don't know. You're on the cusp of being too young. I'm gonna think with that, right? Do you know what? It's fresh in my mind because I was on Spotify today, and one of their the playlist was alternative 90s, and it was Primal Scream and Pulp and Blur and Supergrass, and you're like, this was not the alternative 90s. You're thinking of like the pop shit, like All Saints and Bewitched and all of that crap. All right, in the 90s, the good stuff was the mainstream. And it's one of those, like, these have all been made by people who were in their 20s, who wanted to believe that, like, oh, the cool bands we've heard of, they were the alternative. Like, no, they fucking weren't. Music was better then. Fucking millennials. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Where's the dog? He's with his mum tonight. Baking, probably. How do you deal with the jealousy thing being poly? Thought people with BPD and NPD were all super jealous. Good question, Mimi H. Depends. Right? I mean, first of all, I don't really have the fear of abandonment thing anymore. So that, is fine. And first of all, so I have this main relationship, which I am very secure in and I love immensely. And that gives me this security. And anything that can or could ever happen this thing is just rock solid and, amazing. But jealousy, no. I mean, and right, the one of the big things I got into at the beginning of being poly was like the difference between envy and jealousy. And when you start to look at a lot of your feelings with things, it turns out to be more envy than jealousy. And the difference being that envy is I want what you have. And jealousy is, I don't want you to have that. Or I would like it, but I don't want you to have it. So, it's a lot nastier of an emotion. And so there was a lot of working through like, well, what you're actually feeling is envy. For a lot of things. That's envy. Because it's not that I don't want her to have things. That's not, it's not like you mustn't have it. Like, well, I want it. Well, that's envy. And again, with the NPD, yeah, there's totally the room for it to just be like super jealous, super controlling, and like how, she's mine. That kind of thing. But that's shit narcissism. That's amateur narcissism, right? And in fact, is she still around? Are you still there, Kat? She's not still there. That's fucking amateur narcissism, right? Let's go pro for a second. Let's go pro level narcissism. Pro level narcissism says, you can date my fucking girlfriend. I'm so fucking awesome. She's not going anywhere. That level of freedom is cool, and I can have that level of freedom too, because it's not a thing that I don't get to do it as well, right? That's not how it works. I get to do it too. And so there's your narcissistic hit right there, right? There's this level of confidence, of self-belief, of security. That's like, yeah, you think you can do something that will make her forget me? Really? Because you're fucking nothing compared to me. There's your NPD. Just, let's bolster up that poly. Let's get some supports in there. Let's do it. Because we can fucking knock our way through this. No problem. You know, it's quite straightforward. No jealousy. Just no. The you know, plenty of cases of envy that I won't go into because it gets a bit personal and involves more than just me. Plenty of cases of envy, but jealousy, no. Let me catch up on things. Jealous of the fact that your partners have been with more people than you. Look, I mean, that's one of those things. Like, you know, if you're, sex isn't about fucking as many people in the world as you can, right? That's one of those more, you know, it lives in my head sometimes, one of those more juvenile, wrong priorities about it, right? You know, if you've been with your partner, like, that's a real good, close, intimate relationship, assuming that things are happy. You know, that's a positive thing, and there are lots of people who've had many partners who would wish that they could have what you have. You know? So opening up a relationship, now that's an entirely different thing. That's, as you say, my girlfriend is cool because she didn't think it's fair for me to only have had sex with one person and wants to open it up when they work out their issues more. That's an entirely different thing for me. You know, when I arrived at poly, I was single. So it was just my decision for me. I didn't have to worry about what anybody else felt or thought. I was a new person on my own going into a world where poly people existed, right? And that to me was significantly different from knowing that my girlfriend, who I'd been with for years and years and years, was suddenly going to be going out and meeting new people. And even if I was able to do that too, you know, I don't know if I'd have been able to cope with that, to be perfectly honest. It's a very different proposition. I mean, again, the end result is the same, right? That's fine. But that would have felt, that's a difficult one to do, to open a relationship. Whereas, you know, I went into a relationship with someone who already had other relationships, and so nothing, you know, that's just me that I'm dealing with in that situation, which was a lot easier to deal with. She didn't need to work through any of the poly stuff, right? For her, it was just, can I deal with this guy? Whereas I was still working through all of that. Hi NPD April. Am I religious? Ray, have a guess, dude. Oh, they were poly when you initially met and then went back out of poly. I mean, if it's something you want to do, as you know, I'm not going to say it's awful. I like it. Um, yeah, no, I'm not religious, Ray. I'm not. Wouldn't it be a bit shocking if I, at this point, was suddenly, and don't you know our Lord Jesus died on the cross for our sins? Wouldn't that be a little odd? At this point, I am very not religious. Unless that religion is based around me. In which case, fill your boots. That's fine. Go have a good time. I'm happy with that. But no, I'm not religious. The idea of praising a higher power is unappealing to the narcissist. For a number of reasons. What would I say to God if I met him? You think you're better than me? Do you think you're better than me? That's just the start. That's also the one interview question I would ask if I ever got the chance to talk to George Clooney. You think you're better than me? And he'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, you're probably right. Sorry. Zoran, you've asked and answered your own question there. I'm a massive Richard Ashcroft fan. I'm kind of surprised you dislike him. His songs are all about day-to-day suffering. There you go. That's why I at no point have felt, hey, I'm getting ready to party. Let's stick on a song about day-to-day suffering. Or, I've been suffering all day. I'd like to listen to a song about suffering all day. I don't know. No. This is not what music is used for in this house. No. Music is like a booster. It is a lift. It is happiness and joy. That's what it's used for here. It has many powers and that sort of thing. I love music, but we only use its powers for good around these parts. And yeah, listening to a song about how chemotherapy drugs aren't working anymore, that's not fun for me. I'd rather listen to a song about being in the sunshine. That's just how it goes. Huge Elvis fan, right? I'm a huge Elvis fan. I don't have a favorite Eminem song. I do love Eminem. But I couldn't, right. Depends on it. There are different Eminem tracks for different times. And I can't, there's not like a favorite. There's just what is appropriate for now. And you know, there's still lots of stuff that I've not given a chance from hip hop and all of that. I'm still like getting into stuff. Do I like the Stooges? The Stooges fucking rock. Yeah, agree with bye-bye there. Wow. Bye-bye. Jesus Christ, that is a fucking deep cut. You listened, paid attention, and retained, didn't you? Wow. I had a go at Eminem for using homophobic slurs on Do Ask, Do Tell once. Fuck. Did I really? That doesn't sound like me now, does it? I am what? A number of years on in life from Do Ask, Do Tell. And I have a lot more experience of the world. And I have a lot less time for particular things within the world. And I will have said a lot on Do Ask, Do Tell that I would not say now, to be perfectly honest. And having a go at Eminem is on that list. It's been a long time. God, yeah, said a lot on DS Detail. Honestly, I don't know. Oh, no. I love Eminem. He's great. Got time for Eminem. And by the way, right, if you're going to start digging in the closets of rap stars, you're not going to find many without things in closets. And of all the things you find, M&Ms are not going to be the worst. Right? That's a thing. Right? If just don't dig too much in that area. If you get upset about things you might find when you go digging. If you're that way inclined, then that's a bad area to dig in the world. Just don't. Right? There's a lot from those days that he's glossed over. There's a lot about all those guys that he's brushed under the rug and forgotten about. Right? And Eminem using homophobic language is nothing. It's fucking nothing. Right? Oh dear. But hey. Anyway, let's move on. Let me read this chat. So yeah, you buy me more following a Star Trek religion. It would seem more realistic, wouldn't it? It's more likely to happen, and yet still completely unlikely to happen, as it is one of those things. So then, does anyone else have any questions? Anything else that anybody wants to talk about or whatever? We've been around the houses tonight, haven't we? We've been all over the place. And I feel like this format's been okay. I mean, granted, slightly pushed along because 30 degrees in my office and all of that sort of thing. But, you know, I'm happy with this setup. It seems to work. Some of us remember to charge our phones before we start live feeds. And that's the thing. Just saying, some people. Yeah. This tablet's fucking hideous, though. Don't get one of these. Don't get one of these. Just spend an extra £500 on an iPad mini. And that's what you really want. Also, if you'd like to send a £500 tip for an iPad mini, there's links at earlymorningbarking.com. Which I've redone recently. I moved away from Linktree to a different service, and so now it looks kind of different. And I like some bits of it more, and I dislike other bits of it. But it cost me £4 a month less, so I can live with it for that. Go and check that out. There's everything there as well. You're all signed up to everything, right? You following me on everything? You following me on Twitter? You got a Patreon? If you got a Patreon for me, you should go and get the Patreon, by the way. You should go and get the Patreon. It's good. There's stuff on there. Okay. Oh, right. Hang on. Suddenly getting lots of stuff. Rich, make me understand BL/VN not filling script on pills that control condition that cause big pain, sulfate, loss of... I had no idea about any of that, I'm afraid. I don't even know what BLVN is, or your pills, or anything like that, I'm afraid. Ray, yeah, honestly, dude, tip of the fucking iceberg. If you're the kind of person who can hear something about the personal life of like a musician or an actor or a writer or something, and have that cause you in some way to have an opinion, then hip hop's not a good place for you, dude. And you know, it's just one of those, like, it's not gonna. Eminem, domestic be high. Honestly, dude. Go look up Dre. Go look up Dre. Seriously, you know. Go and look up the rest of NWA. Really, go really deep dive into that shit, and Eminem will seem fairly saintly by comparison. Go and look up all the East Coast shit as well. Go and look at what went down there. Believe me, there is nothing Eminem has done that is fucking close. You know, you're right. Yeah, I'm not. It's not a thing. Rock stars are just as bad. I'm not entirely sure you want to, honestly. Like, just listen to Zeppelin. That's cool. How did I react when I first got diagnosed with NPD? I fucking cackle at my NPD. I fucking love it. And I'm always like, yeah, I've got NPD. Yeah, of course I have. Of course I have. My loftiest goal was to be a Bond villain. Of course I've got NPD. Yeah. I've never been stressed out by it. It wasn't until I got on YouTube that I learned I was an evil monster, and that other people, that I do all these things that I didn't know I did, and so many other things. Yeah, and that there are people who've been made to feel bad because they have NPD. I fucking love it. I'm totally happy with it. Bring it. Honestly. I love it. I think because so many of my things amuse me. Because I'm not a violent domestic abuser or anything like that, you know. But it somewhat amuses me that for a while I was genuinely trying to take over the world. I genuinely wanted to. Right? I mean, this is part of the advantage of NPD, bringing like this desire but not the motivation. You know, we're back to that maladaptive daydreaming thing again. I wanted to run the world, but I never thought realistically about how I might achieve that goal. You know? I'm a weird guy. Have you not been watching the videos? Yeah? Like, how am I supposed to feel? Like, everybody has this, and you know, like, oh, I was so upset when I found this out. Like, I don't get why. I genuinely don't get why. And like the same, I'm not picking on NPD, but the BPD as well. From the number of people who are like, I've got BPD. What the hell do I do now? Well, what were you doing yesterday? Right? You just got a fucking diagnosis. Now you can fix it. And it's not like, you know, it's not like being told you've got cancer or something like that. Right? It's like to me, it was fucking a revelation. It was like, here's what the problem has been for 25 years. It was relief. It was fucking salvation. Right? It wasn't being told, oh, there's this thing and we can't operate, and, you know, whatever. It's not like, oh, there's no treatment for this, or like it's fucking go therapy. You'll be fine. Like, oh, cool. Can I have therapy now? Yeah, okay, right then. I don't know. And then I hear from so many people like, I found out I had BPD and that was the end of my life. And you're like, weren't you like pretty fucking down the day before with your BPD that you didn't know what it was? Like, isn't it? Like, why? I don't. Never gotten it. Never understood it. At all. Mental health diagnosis are fucking relief. Right? Especially when you've spent 20 years with antidepressants foisted on you that do nothing. With people going, you're probably just depressed. You know, like, I had all those problems the day before I got diagnosed, the year before, the decade before, right? I remember being 19 years old and sitting there at 4 o'clock in the morning in that little fucking holiday cottage in Northumberland that my parents insisted on taking us to because they thought it would cheer me up. I was sitting there rocking back and forth and crying with the bottle of sleeping pills in one hand and a big pint of water in the other, ready to just finish it. That was fucking distressing, right? That was upsetting. Finding out why that was happening so I could do something about it, that was not upsetting. That was very happy that day. That was, thank God there's an explanation for all of this. You know, it was the being taught, you know, being brought home by the police because I'd threatened to kill myself in a hospital. That was a fucking low point. Felt pretty bad that day. The diagnosis day, yeah, that was good. That's it, really. You know, because we talk about it like it's a thing that they say and now you've got it. But if you've got BPD or NPD, you've had it for years, probably. Like years and years and years. The fact it's been diagnosed makes fuck all difference. And if it does, then it only goes to prove why the doctors are so reluctant to give out a diagnosis. Because what I'm hearing in every case is that diagnosis made me worse. Right? Isn't that what we're saying? Like, you know, as you said there, instead of becoming suicidal, I became a crazy alcoholic for a while to cope and numb out. You weren't an alcoholic before you got your diagnosis, so diagnosis made you worse, right? So this is why they don't want to give out that diagnosis. You're claiming it made you an alcoholic. So there's a problem straight off the bat with giving you a diagnosis. But surely, you know, all that pain, that was there for years, fucking years. And we talk about it like, I got it, and then now I have to deal with BPD. It's like you were dealing with BPD. I don't get it. We treat it like a terminal diagnosis. And it's not. It's the opposite. It's a fucking freeing diagnosis. It's fucking amazing. You know, you've already got the fucking problem. It's already there. You're dealing with it. You're coping with it. You're living with it day to day. I don't understand why people would not want that diagnosis. I don't understand how it makes us worse, but it clearly does, because that's all anybody says to me. Because I honestly think when people are asking me, and it's something everybody asks me all the fucking time, how did you feel when you got this? How did you feel when you found out? How did you feel the day you were first told? Like, always good. Always good. Like, why would I not? I don't know. And so what they're really asking is, what did you do to yourself when you were told? Because that's it. They're like, well, I did this. I became an alcoholic. I tried to kill myself. I did that. None of that relates to me at all. None of that rings true with me in the slightest. They've finally found a name for what's wrong with me. Thank fucking Christ. And, it's why I've talked about, the form the diagnosis takes. That it's like playing taboo. Make everybody say what the word is without you saying the word. And that's your diagnosis. Oh, he's got abandonment issues and emotional instability and, just dissociates sometimes. And like, you describing BPD? No. Just saying what's wrong. Like, because look what happens when they do. So it's, I've never understood the negative attitude with it at all. Never gotten it. But yeah, clearly it's a thing. Very, very clearly a diagnosis sends someone into a downward spiral. And I don't know if it's how long you've been dealing with it for or whatever. I was just happy to get relief. I was just happy to not be told I had depression. And everything that I was dealing with, I'd been dealing with for 20 years. I wasn't nothing changed. It was just good to know that someone else believed me. Like, no, you're right, Mr. Smith. You really are possessed by a demon. Now we can get you an exorcism. Hey, okay, cool. It's all good. So on that note, unless anybody has anything else you want to jump in with at the end, I'm going to call it for tonight, but I will be back. There will be more live streams. There may be live streams tomorrow afternoon on TikTok. Daytime things tend to go on TikTok. I think that's where I'm going to differentiate. Daytime will go TikTok. Nighttime, or at least nighttime over here, will go YouTube. So look out for more YouTube things. I can sort of pre-post on YouTube where you get the thing that says Rich is going to go live in a few hours or whatever, which has its plus points, but that can easily fuck up. And not every method of streaming to YouTube can acknowledge that thing you set up. So I tend not to do that. Best bet, follow me on Twitter or Instagram. If you need to follow me on... Is that adequate? Like, in Twitter and Instagram, that covers everybody, right? Look out for things on there. Community tabs, Facebook. Something auto-post to Facebook now. I don't give a shit about Facebook. I can only hold so much in my brain at any one time, that sort of thing. So, I will see you later. You take care. This live's been fun. And, we'll be back here, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, we'll see. There's going to be, we'll just do this forever now. This is it. We're doing this forever now. And I'll cut bits out of this and call them episodes. Oh, I should do that. We'll do that in future. I don't know if I can do that from my phone here, but we'll do that in future. You all take care. You've been an awesome audience tonight, by the way. You've been an absolutely awesome audience. I will do as much as I can to alert you to live feeds and the like. But generally around sort of 9ish, half 9, well, I don't know, whenever. And I will see you later. Bye-bye. I now need to figure out how to turn this thing off, so...